welcome. And good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are. My name is Ben Jones. I think many of you maybe people I've been able to meet before. So it's very nice to have you all join. I'm seeing some of the names here in the participant list and some familiar ones. So hello to all who have joined. Really exciting to see this group of people getting together here. You know, I love this time of the year. We get to do this awards show. I mean, it is really exciting, really, to me to have an opportunity to shine the spotlight on some of the amazing things that people do and have done this past year in order to help us all become, more fluent in this language of data. And so many talented and dedicated people all around the world putting in their time and effort, helping us see different aspects of data, what it means to work with it, and lots of different mediums too, books, videos, podcast channels, and all of these really are so helpful. Different people like to engage in different ways. And so it's nice to have those options for us when we go to interact with others and also with content. So content is king, as they say, and that is going to be one of the main ways we move forward here as a species when it comes to working with data effectively. So feel free to put a little hello into the chat if you like there. Hi, Valerie, Logan, nice to see you here in the webinar. Many of you might know Valerie. She is CEO of the Data Lodge, an organization dedicated to helping companies and groups of people come together and put together a data literacy program. So wonderful to see you there. Hi, Robert Kosara, former coworker of mine at Tableau, highly talented, one of the first bloggers I ever started reading, maybe more than 10 years ago, I think, right, Robert, at EagerEyes. Hi to my co-founder, Becky, is also in the participant list here. So hi to Becky, and thanks for all the hard work helping us put this program together. Also, Megan Hanno is our new operations manager. She's joining the call as well before jumping on an airplane and heading home to see her family for the holidays. So hi to you, Megan. And hello to just this group of people. Scott Taylor, good to see you too here. I know you had a book that has come out recently. Steve Wexler, what a great group. Some of the folks here will be looking to promote here to panelists. So you can say hello to them when we announce the winners and the runners up. And so, let's just get this started. Let's just, without further ado, let's dive on into this. We did a little bit of a format change this year. We're always adjusting things, and it makes it more fun in a way, I suppose, to make simple changes and adjustments. So in the past, it's really just been open voting. And this year, we switched it to open nominations, and then we chose a short list of 4. And actually, I will put the link here in the chat for those of you following along to see who are the individuals that got shortlisted. And it was a really talented bunch. And to get on the short list of the 4 most, popular and nominated pieces of content, well, you had to do a lot. You had to really put in a lot of effort and time. And so I'll put that link in the chat right here. You should all be able to see that right now coming through. It was a really talented bunch. It was really hard to pick and to get to the short list. But from there, we allowed, the general public to vote for their favorite of those 4. And so here are the winners. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about each one, just share my own thoughts about them and the great work that they did. So let's dive in. Okay, so in the past, we've had a gold, silver, bronze approach. And this year, we're going to talk about the winners and the runners up. And so let's dive into it a little bit different this year. So what's nice now, since this is the 3rd year running, we can see some history. We can see, what's been coming along and who's won in the past. And so we get to see who's going to win, now this year. So when we talk about books, everybody, who knows me knows that I love reading and writing books. It's really been a pastime of mine for a long time. I'm really, I just enjoy them. I think we can spend some time clearly articulating our thoughts putting together some helpful examples that and some thoughts, right? Some content that's going to be fleshed out and really, I love blogging too, but that's a little more informal. Well, when we get to write a book, oftentimes that requires a bit of a higher bar for the author to organize their content. There's a team of people probably editing it. So in the past, the first year in 2019, How Charts Lie by Alberto Cairo took the gold in this category. It's a great book we recommend all the time. The first chapter I love. It talks a lot about, some ways we understand charts and how they can work well. And so that's an important chapter we like to talk about in our level 1 course, Learning to See Data. And then he goes on in the subsequent chapters to articulate and to show examples of maybe how they might not work so well. We know we come across those from time to time. Last year, the top award for the book went to Calling Bullshit by Carl Bergstrom and Jevin West, professors here at the University of Washington in Seattle, where I live. So you can see a trend there, right? An idea or sort of a common thread between those two being, people are interested in understanding ways to get it wrong. We seem to gravitate to that and want to learn more about some cases and situations maybe that didn't work out too well, so we can avoid being misled perhaps, or perhaps doing that ourselves. So those are the two winners. So we'll do a drum roll now and we'll see the most insightful data book of 2021. Well, that goes to Steve Wexler's The Big Picture. So this is Steve's first solo book. You may know Steve. He is co-author of The Big Book of Dashboards with Andy Cockgreave and Jeff Schaffer. And this is a follow-up for Steve. And so actually, you know what? I think he's here. Let me just go on down the list here. He sure is. There's Steve. Let me promote you, Steve, up to a panelist. There we go. So you should see a little note there for you to join. And then you'll become a panelist and we can hopefully hear your voice. So there you are. So Steve, welcome to the award show.
Hey, Ben, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Congratulations. And tell the group a little bit about the story of this book. Where did it come from? What were you trying to accomplish with this book? And how has it been received, I suppose? Obviously, winning this award is great. What else have you heard from people who have read it and who have shared with you maybe some of their thoughts? If you can just kind of give us a bit of color here on this book in the background.
I had the pleasure of writing with Jeff Schaffer and Andy Cockgreave, and it was one kind of a surprise that a lot of people in the workshops didn't really have the fundamentals yet, but also just a massive frustration on their part with their colleagues, their stakeholders, the people who, despite their efforts to create things that would help them glean insight, they were reluctant to embrace it. And it was their discomfort with the language of understanding the language of charts and dashboards. They just were lacking this data visualization literacy or this fluency with it. And so I wanted to put something together that would allow an organization to get people to the certain minimal level of understanding and comfort with charts and dashboards so they could make better decisions faster.
Wonderful. I love it. Yeah, and I have my copy right here. And, this is such an important push that we're in together, I think, the ability to, or the need to help people who might feel left behind and necessarily don't have some of what they feel to be the basic skills and knowledge to be able to interact in this world now where data is just everywhere and something.
Well, Ben, they don't see the benefits of it yet. Mm-hmm. I'm just fine with the spreadsheet. Look, this is what you're trying to do with dataliteracy.com, what Valerie Logan's doing with the Data Lodge, and a whole bunch of other people are, oh my gosh, you're missing out on something that could be so helpful and so insightful. And it's not that hard to get up to this level of appreciation of it. You may never write a book, but you certainly should know how to read books.
Right,
so maybe you're not going to create these things, but you should be able to be comfortable reading them and interpreting them and using them to inform your decision making.
Yeah, Yeah, no doubt. And so thanks for all you're doing there. So what's next with the big picture? Are you going to take it somewhere next year? Do you have any plans to do anything else with it kind of coming down the pike here?
Well, there are discussions with Steven Spielberg about a movie. You know, he hit it out of the park with West Side Story, which is one of my three favorite musicals of all time, and I think I can trust him for handling this.
You might know
We'll
a thing or
see.
two.
I'm hoping to do some workshops around this, and there are some good things in the pipeline. And also, Ben, I just want to it. Is the rumor I heard correct that all the winners are getting Teslas? Is that true? That's amazing.
This is maybe potentially for future award winners. However, I cannot necessarily promise such a lucrative award at this point in time. But
And this
nice.
reminds me of Iron Viz, like the people who did it, I think in 2018, they really bumped up the money in 2019. It's like they should make this go, and the runner-ups as well. So,
So,
all right. So, if the Tesla happens in 2022,
well, I'll send you a Hot Wheels, right now. Just drop that right in the mail. But you will always have that reputation of being the early winner. This first Iron Viz winner, Tableau's contest. And so maybe you're just, kind of coming in the scene a little too early. You need to wait for people like our company to get bigger and bigger and then strike, and maybe
No,
time it a
no,
little
no, no.
differently.
Let me explain why you're so wrong. Because if I were competing now, I wouldn't stand a chance.
That's true.
That's why.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's getting better and better, isn't it? And hopefully the data books continue to get better and better as well. And so
There were some amazing
yeah.
ones this year. Jared Thorpe's Living
Oh
in
yeah.
Data.
I got to pick up that one. I haven't read that one yet. What was that one called again?
Living in Data.
Living in
Yeah,
Data.
it kind of had me stop and rethink everything that I'm doing around just the action of what you choose to visualize. So he's a wonderful data visualization and graphic designer. He also writes really well. Tim Hartford's book. There are so many others that I can mention. Jonathan Schwabish's book.
Well, it's funny you mention that. It's funny you mention that actually, because that is the runner-up to the award. So there you have it. In fact, it was pretty close. So I was looking at the voting here. 45% to Big Picture and 35% to Better Data Visualizations. I have a copy of that book too, and it is also amazing. And actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Schwabish might be in the attendee list. And I'm curious if he would be willing to jump up here on the panelists with us too, just kind of a little unscripted, unplanned. Of course, these days, who knows, maybe he's dropping off a kid at the parking lot at school. So he might be saying no. But yeah, Jonathan, you want to come on up? I'll tell you what, I'll invite you to come on up to say hello if you'd like to. Feel free to if you do. If you don't, no problem. I know people can be here and there and everywhere. Sometimes we have construction happening outside, and the last thing I want to do is turn my audio on here in the office in downtown Bellevue. Yeah, oh, and see, exactly. See, I suspected it, and John is on another call. So look at that, just so amazingly multitasking, amazing work. That's how he gets it done. I think there might be another Schwabish, as we're going to see. We may hear his name again. We'll see. All right, Steve. Well, we are going to keep moving along here. So if you don't mind, I'll pop you back on down into the attendees, and for now, and we'll move along to the next category here. Let me see if I can get this right. Change role to attendee. There we go. Okay, thanks, Steve. Okay, so books. I love books, and we got one coming here soon too. We're going to keep cranking out more and more books at Data Literacy too. And I love that. All right. So, but, I feel like really, the content creators that are creating video are really going to be ones that come to a higher and higher level of influence in these next few years and perhaps beyond. I have teenage boys, Becky and I do, and well, they watch a lot of YouTube. They watch a lot of video. I guess there's all these video platforms, right, where people love to share video. And so even recording this right now, we can put this out on YouTube for our own little video channel. But a lot of people are learning that way. It's really a powerful medium. and you can do a lot with it. There are people out there in the data world who are creating great content and putting it out there on video channels and sharing it with that. And yeah, I'd love to see, we have plans for our own video channel. I'd love to see more people putting helpful content out there, tutorials, not just tool-based tutorials though, you know, also just explaining concepts in data in a fun and engaging way. Well, the first time we ran this awards in 2019, Guy in a Cube won. That is, I don't know if you've ever seen that channel. They create Power BI, mostly tutorials, and they just really crank them out. They have a schedule. They've been doing this for months and months and months, every week, putting out a couple videos. And so, you know, you do that for a little bit of time and you keep at it and you keep consistent. And now all of a sudden there's this huge repository of helpful content, and the video channel just becomes more and more valuable. So Guy in a Cube was the first to win that award. Last year, George Firakan's Lights on Data YouTube channel was the winner. And so this year, we want to congratulate the winner, which is DATAcated by Kate Strachnyi. Now, Kate is actually not here. We chatted a bit beforehand. She is running a book club. You can find that if you like on DATAcated YouTube. She has also her site. Yeah, see the comment there from Kim and Valerie. She really is a force. I'm really always very impressed with Kate and how much she brings people together, how much she is able to connect, and running some of the best data conferences during the pandemic. I felt these virtual conferences she put together mostly on LinkedIn Live were amazing. Many speakers lined up. I don't know how she does it. I mean, I know that takes a lot of work. Robert Kosara and I ran the Tapestry conference there for many years, and it takes a lot of work to pull these events together. Somehow she does that, as well as running an amazing data video channel. I think she's even running marathons and such. So just a real energetic and inspiring person. I recommend you check out her video channel there when you get a minute. And it sounds like, yeah, I know yeah, I missed the Tapestry conference too. Robert and I really loved running that event for those years now. I really feel like, you know, what came out of the last year we ran it, as a little bit of a tangent here in Miami, Alberto Cairo invited us on down there to the University of Miami very graciously to host us there at his university. And, you know, really, I think that was where the seed that had been planted of the Data Visualization Society really germinated. And, you know, they launched that society within, I think, a matter of a few months after our final Tapestry conference event. And they really have been carrying that torch of bringing people together of different backgrounds. You know, that was always our intent. And Kate, back to the topic here, just really does that amazingly, bringing people together, panelists, presenters, attendees, sponsors, with things to give, you know, to people who attend. So that's really speaking to her conference. That isn't even what she's winning it for. She's winning it for the video channel, which you can check out on YouTube if you just go to DATAcated. So congratulations to Kate if you're watching this recording. My hat goes off to you for all the amazing things you do. Thank you for that. And also looking forward to seeing what you do here in the coming year. Sorry if it's a little bit choppy. I'm getting little notes from time to time about my internet connection. So hopefully it smooths out here. Runner up here. Well, that is, I got to say, this is one of my favorite channels. Speaking of Robert Kosara, my co-chair there at the Tapestry conference for all those years. I mean, he has just been doing some really fascinating work on his YouTube channel, EagerEyes. Really interesting to see someone so knowledgeable in data also beginning to learn video techniques, animation, understanding how some of those approaches and methods can be added and brought together, going back through some of the videos that were my favorite in this past year, you know, reviewing some of the most talked about visualizations like Menard's March on Moscow by Charles Menard. And so, you know, just really thinking about that in depth and helping us see it from brand new perspectives. Also, he has a great video out there on the pie chart probably we call that the most controversial chart when we teach it. So he's got some good thoughts on that from research that he's done over the years. And so thanks to Robert, I really appreciate all you're doing there on that EagerEyes channel. I'm really in awe of the skills you're adding to your repertoire and experimenting with, and to great effect there on that channel. The numbers on this looked pretty close too. So DATAcated Kate took 38% and Robert took 29% of the vote. So real close there. Yeah, and Robert is here too. So you can say congrats to him on the chat. I see people doing that already. So yeah, check out his channel here if you get a minute. And by the way, as I announce the winners, and runners up, if you want to pop in and say hello, just let me know in the chat. We would be more than willing to have you come up and say hello and tell us a little bit maybe about what you've been up to and, what your plans are maybe for 2022 for that content there as you get going along. So Robert, I did not tell you I would invite you, but you're certainly more than welcome to pop on and say hello if you want to. So let me know in the chat if you feel like jumping in and saying hi. Yeah, sorry to put everyone on the spot here. The winners we contacted ahead of time, and now I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why don't I just invite the runners up as well? And they're like, whoa. So I didn't know I was going to be on a recorded webinar, but yeah, we're coming into the holidays here, and we're coming in hot. So congrats there to you, Robert, as well, for the great work you're doing there on your YouTube channel. Okay, podcasts. Video podcasts, audio podcasts. We love listening to really amazingly thoughtful experts who have conversations about data, who bring on guests, who talk about that with their guests, and we get to listen along. Some really fascinating ones here that we've been able to listen to over the years. I think I listened to podcasts a lot more when I was commuting. I want to get back to it now. I've kind of switched to audio books a lot, and I'm going through a lot of audio books, but I do love some of the data podcasts that are out there now. The first winner back in 2019, that was Cole and team on the Storytelling with Data podcast. I know her husband, Randy, also does a lot of work to put those episodes together and put them out there on their site. So, great conversations that we can listen to. Last year's winner, Data Plus Love, with Zach Bowders, talking also with many people, primarily in the Tableau community. Zach did a great job there, and I really appreciate his voice, which sounds funny to say, but some people just have a great voice for radio and audio, and Zach is one of those people. Of course, his value goes beyond just the sound of his voice, but that was one thing I noticed the first time I listened to his podcast. I said, oh, this guy was just born for this, So congrats to Zach again for being the reigning champion here coming into 2021. And this year's winner for the best podcast is the Chart Chat podcast. So actually there are a few winners here, and yeah, let me just go through and invite them up and promote them to panelists. So we got Jeff, Schaefer, and bringing Steve right back on up. So come on back up. Yeah, lots of people love Chart Chat. Andy Cotgreave also, who's not here. He's based out of London, as you know, probably a little bit ahead of us here in time zones. But last person being Amanda Makulek, the executive director of the Data Visualization Society. So the foursome of Andy, Amanda, Steve, and Jeff just do a great job really breaking down content. Well, why don't I let you two talk about it? Tell us a little bit about Chart Chat, kind of where it came from, and what you were most excited about this last year that you did with it, and maybe a little bit of where you're going.
Steve, do you want to jump in?
No, go ahead. Yeah, people already heard me, so
sure.
Go ahead.
Well, Chart Chat came out of our discussions that we had on the big book of dashboards. While we were writing that book, we had some really, Steve likes to call them heated debates, but I like to just call them excited discussions. And Andy and Steve and I, we enjoyed that so much. We wanted to keep it going after the book. And so we started doing that. Just like the book, I think we started with Steve and I, and then, we twisted Andy's arm and he joined. And so what's exciting in the last, almost a year and a half or 2 years, Amanda McCulloch joined us, who is the executive director at the Data Viz Society. And I think the thing that's been exciting in 2021 is just, I got to say, what makes it is the guests that we've been able to have. And a big shout out to them for their just their generosity, their time. People aren't paid to join these things. And we've had John Byrne Murdoch and Tim Hartford and Ben Schneiderman and just lots of great pioneers and great advocates of data viz and just pillars in the community. So it's been exciting to see that grow. And our latest was the authors of the Atlas of the Invisible, and they were just fantastic. And it's just it's a work of art. So, but thank you, Ben. You and I go back way back, and it's so excited to see what you're doing with the data literacy group, and so proud to see the work you're doing, and always excited to chat with you.
Nice. Yeah, likewise, Jeff. And I actually have the Atlas of the Invisible right over there on my coffee table here in the office. It is really beautiful. It's an amazing book. I agree with you. And yeah, that's one of the nice things. And John, as you mentioned, John Byrne Murdoch of Financial Times, all the great work he did this last year. We're going to mention his name a little bit later, I think maybe, but some amazing things there that he's done to help us understand the pandemic. And it's great to be able to listen to them and hear it straight from their own voice, from their own mind, and be able to even interact to a little bit. So yeah, thanks for all you're doing with Chart Chat. This was a pretty strong results here in the voting. 58% of people gave you the vote, so that was a real strong result there. So congrats. Also, anything coming down the pike? What should we know about 2022, and what are maybe some of the plans for Chart Chat? You've probably talked about it a little bit. What are your thoughts? Where are you going to go with it in the coming year?
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, we're in discussions with Albert Einstein. I don't know if that's going to come through or not, but it would be just amazing to hear his take on all this. So it's funny that you say that, but we are having a big planning meeting about 2022 right after this. Discuss what's going to be happening. And just so people who are not familiar with it realize, you're probably going to miss a lot if you just listen to Chart Chat. Mm-hmm. It's something to watch.
Yeah, it's like a video.
Because and just seeing some of the iterations, seeing like John Byrne Murdoch's or Rosamund Pierce, who is a brilliant data visualization journalist at The Economist, walking through the decisions, early versions of stuff, etc. So you can watch these videos either at bigbookofdashboards.com, or Jeff Schaefer has all these things queued up that you can watch them after the fact. So don't expect to listen to this and get as much out of it as you might from a traditional podcast.
Yeah, no, I like that too. You really can see and have that conversation around the visuals, which I love. Yeah, and it's amazing to see what some are able to do with pure audio. I always appreciate Ali Torben. We work a lot with her, and she has a great one called Data Viz Today, and tells a story sometimes of the projects that are out there. And then in the show notes, you can go and look at some of the visuals. But you're right, it is nice to be able to see it right there in the middle of the flow of the conversation. So good luck getting a hold of Einstein's brain in the jar, and hopefully that conversation goes well, Steve. And maybe you can connect him with Spielberg, and just that would be a show I'd watch. So so congrats again to you too. And
thank you, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. So let me pop you back on down. And of course, the runner-up here in this category was also the runner-up for the most insightful data book. So the PolicyVids podcast by John Schwabish is such a great show, and it's been going on for a while now. And to be mentioned twice in the awards is really amazing. And so congrats again to John for being mentioned here with great content. I mean, to put an amazing book out as well as continuing these shows, to me, is just remarkable. I was just listening to your podcast actually a couple of days ago, the conversation you had with Leland Wilkinson. I think it was back in September or October of this year. Many of you know Leland, and as the author of the book, The Grammar of Graphics, right here. I had an opportunity to work a little bit with him at Tableau, but he just passed away about a week ago. So certainly our condolences go out to his family, and it's a real massive loss here for the data community. Just such an amazing influence he had on all of us. I think we think of data visualization very differently now because of some of the work he did. And I was able to join the data visualization meetup group in New York City, the New York City virtual session earlier in the week. And, it's just fascinating to hear some of his colleagues come out and talk about him and how he was such a thoughtful, kind, and brilliant person. And it was amazing. His daughter, Amy Wilkinson, I didn't know this, so it was great to join the session. I think you can probably find the recording. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but it's worth it. So Amy Wilkinson, she happens to be a leader in dynamical systems. She's a professor of mathematics at the University of Chicago. And I'll be darned, she got on and gave the presentation he was going to give of some a recent paper that he has published. And it was just amazing, it's just to see that that talent and that brilliance has been more than passed on to the next generation there of Wilkinsons. So it was nice, John. Thanks. I'm really, really glad you had that conversation with him a few months ago. We get to go back and listen and hear some of his thoughts. So congrats again to you, John. Thank you again. I'm looking forward to hearing who you have on your show here in the coming year. And let's move on to the next category. So much about it, it's never been more important than since March of 2020, when everything changed for all of us, that we come together in these different kinds of online communities. I think we need still neighborhoods to be stronger. I'll put that out there. But it was difficult for a while there, wasn't it? For a few months, we didn't know whether that was a safe thing to do. Many people weren't even allowed to go out of their homes in different parts of the world, but they may have had an internet connection that allowed them to connect to people and have conversations. Family members on FaceTime, professional connections, colleagues, coworkers on Zoom, or any of the many different video teleconferencing platforms that really kept us connected in a tough time. And so the data community initiatives, I feel, took on even more importance in these last couple of years. These are opportunities for people to connect around data in a variety of different ways, different topics, different sorts of initiatives with really different kinds of ways of interacting. And so Makeover Monday won both years, 2019, 2020. Of course, a lot of my network comes from the Tableau world, and that really became a key center point of the Tableau community. The work that Ava Murray, Andy Kriebel, also in the early days, Andy Cotgreave, and then more recently, Charlie Hutchinson, these four individuals putting out a data set every week. You all know, right? It's a real well-known initiative, and there's a good reason why it won 2 years in a row for its massive impact. And so I know they've been making some changes there and recently. So just many of us very thankful for the tireless effort they put in over the many years to run that program, right? Finding, curating, publishing data sets, having conversations about what people do with it, feedback and things like that. Important parts of a community, the ability to try things, the ability to have conversations and get feedback from others. They really kind of took that torch there for a few years, and had a big impact on a lot of people. Many people started out that way. So when we talk about data literacy, becoming more fluent in the language of data, that was a pathway for many to get into that space. So that's the history of this award. So who wins it this year? Well, the winners of this year's Data Community Initiative is Diversity in Data. Now, Diversity in Data is relatively new, and I love what they do. I'm actually going to go ahead and this is maybe the first time I'll do this. Oh, now you see the runner-up. Sorry, I clicked on that in the wrong order. So we'll get to that. Let me go back a slide and maybe just pretend you didn't see that. There we go. I think next year probably Becky is going to run this show. So she's listening, going like, oh, okay. So where were we here? Diversity in data. Oh yeah. Okay. So you can follow along with them, and I'll bring the people who run it. You're going to get to know them a bit here, and actually, so will I. I don't think I've actually ever met them face to face, but they are here as I see. I'm really excited about that. So they have a Twitter account, and even they have a data.world data catalog page, and you can see what they're all about. You know, what's their purpose here? They're an initiative centered around diversity, equity, and awareness. Each month we provide data sets which we hope you'll help us visualize. So you can go into, let me put the links in the chat here just to make it a bit easier for everyone. I'll drop these into the chat, paste there. That's their Twitter account. Here's their data.world. I love data.world. We use this all the time in our courses, giving people access to data. You can write SQL queries right there in the browser. It's pretty neat stuff. But so you can see some of the different data sets here. World Humanitarian Day, you know, Pride Month data. You can click into there and see some of the different events going on. You can see some of the different sites and sources of amazing data relative to that topic. So, you know, it's just more than one data set here, you know, and that's what I like about it. We've got a handful of different data sources for us to be able to learn more about those topics. Yeah, very powerful stuff. And, you know, well deserved. It's nice to see a new one coming out and making their mark like this. So diversity in data, that was, they took home a third of the votes here, 33%. Now, this initiative is run by two people who are already here in the attendee list, and that is Autumn Battani and Eve Thomas. So I'm going to welcome them to the show. I'm going to invite them up here to be panelists. And I'm excited about this because I don't know much about this initiative and where it came from and where they're going. So I'm really excited to introduce you to them. So hi, Autumn, and hi, Eve. Welcome to the award show. Congratulations. Maybe why don't you tell the attendees a little bit about your initiative here, where it came from, what you hope to accomplish with it, what you're doing, and maybe some things that were highlights for you from this last year about this initiative you've been running.
Eve, do you want to start?
it's like who dares speak. I was going to say, do you want to start, Autumn? But I can start. Do you want me to start? Yeah, so I'm still in shock, to be honest. I'm trying to just come off of a work call and now I'm like, woo. Thank you so much for voting and for our initiative. It's something really close to mine, Autumn's hearts. And when did we start it? It must have been Feb 2020, I think.
Mm-hmm. This time last year is when we started.
Yeah, I think it is this time last year. Yeah, so gosh, I mean, so why? What was the question? Do you want to talk about why we started?
Talk about some highlights. What happened this year with the initiative that, as you look back on it, were highlights for you?
Oh, I mean, the highlights for me would be some of the incredible visitors that we've seen. We've just had the most beautiful visualizations, haven't we? And we've had it through all different mediums as well, not just Tableau. We've had it across a lot of different, so Power BI, Tableau. I know that Autumn's done some amazing data art, which I won't embarrass her by trying to get you to find that, but really impressive stuff. So I think it's nice that it's brought a lot of different people together across the entire kind of data world to me. And I think that's a really, really, I think that's a real positive. But I think we first started it, I think it was partly the lockdown, and then also a lot of the BLM protests that were happening as well. And I think that for me and Autumn, that really highlighted to us that people just needed to come together. You know, like I think that that's something that there's just not enough of that. There's not enough of discussion around sort of like marginalized groups. That conversation needs to be opened. And I think that for both of us, that was one of our main reasons for starting this initiative. And I think that I think it's just brought a lot of people together. Like I've made so many connections over the last year through this initiative, and that's why it means, I think, so much to me. And it's really helped people discuss these issues openly, which I think is a really valuable thing. I'm going to let Autumn jump in. I feel like she has lots of great.
Thanks, Eve. No, that's great to hear. I love that. That's really a fascinating background. And I love what you're saying about the highlight being the connections with people. That's really, to me, is kind of the value that kind of takes the forefront pretty quickly, right, as the initiative gets started. So as you're saying though, Autumn, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your highlights from the year running this initiative? What did you learn? What did you love about it? And yeah, tell us kind of the highlights for you.
I think for me, to what Eve said, is a lot of the conversations that were started. I think in 2020, we saw a lot of eagerness and curiosity around some of the issues that we put data out about, but people didn't really know where to go to find more information, how to talk about it, the information behind it. And so we really wanted to meet people where they were and help them get those conversations going, help build education, and to the point of these awards, their literacy around some of these topics and some of these groups and the troubles that they're facing. Additionally, I think one thing that we kept in mind throughout the year was to make it positive as well. So in addition to talking about the issues, we also wanted to talk about the highlights and the wins and the places where we were seeing movement in these areas across the world. So I think that was a big part of it too, was also talking about like, hey, you know, there are these problems, people are working on them and we want you to know about them, but also look at the great work that's being done in these spaces globally.
Celebrating some of that progress. Yeah, that's great. I love that too, right? It's both sides of the coin. You know, we're not there yet, but we're making strides. Let's look at both sides of it. What are we doing well? What needs to be done still? Lots of work left to be done. And we're big believers here at Data Literacy that we can use data as a force for good in society to bring people together. And so we really applaud you for that. We're going to continue to amplify your voice and help to spread the word about your initiative, maybe even participate ourselves and just get our roll up our sleeves and get our hands into some of those data sets. So thanks again to both of you. Things coming down the pike here, 2022. What's next for diversity in data? What can we expect in the coming year?
I think we still want to keep putting out some of these great data sets, but I think also advocating for and letting people know ways that they can make an impact in their own communities will probably be big for this next year. I think this first year is really spent on getting people comfortable with the type of things we were talking about, helping educate people. But now, to the point I was saying before about progress, it's what can we do in the spaces that we're in. So giving people ideas for how they can contribute to these different things in their communities, I think is going to be a great place to take this initiative in the next year.
Wonderful. I love that. I was just taking a look at some of the art here, some of the visualizations that have been shared in this hashtag diversity in data, which is where you can find this. And I think I can probably paste this into the chat here. Let's just see. For some reason, yeah, I was having some trouble with the chat. Not actually. Yeah. Well, you can, if you go to Twitter, you can just search for the hashtag diversity in data, and you'll see some of the content coming in here. And so, yeah, thanks again to you both for your leadership, as I see Valerie putting there into the chat, you know, and we are rooting you on. We're behind you 100%. And we're really thankful that you're doing this. So best of luck to you. Happy holidays. Congratulations. And looking forward to seeing what you do next year and following closely.
Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah. Thank you both. Thanks for coming on. I really love it. It was nice to,
Thank you, Ben.
Nice to meet you both. Yeah. Thanks, Eve. Nice to meet you both like this and get to chat with you a little bit about what you're doing. All right. So the runner up here, which you already saw, was Women in Data UK. So this is a group you can find online, and they do lots of different events, bringing together women in all around the world, but they're based out of the UK. And so congrats to that community initiative for taking second place here with 26% of the vote. So that was a close one. There's some great initiatives. Other ones we saw here, the Du Bois Challenge, you know, W.E.B. Du Bois, and some of the work that he did at the turn of the 20th century there at the Paris World Fair to shine the spotlight on slavery in the United States, and really sharing with the world that topic from a data point of view, you know, advocating for awareness and change via data, via very creative data. Now the W.E.B. Du Bois Challenge, you can look it up on Twitter, hashtag Du Bois Challenge, DUBOIS Challenge, was also one of the shortlisted community initiatives that was pretty new this year, I think. Anthony Starks, Alan Hillery, and others putting together some of that. Siku Tyler, I think, was another individual helping to run that challenge, and really, letting us give it our best attempt to recreate some of his amazing visualization. He and his team had put that together. I think it was for the 1900 World Fair, if I'm not mistaken. So that was one of the other shortlisted, and it came in real close there with 22.7% of the vote. And then Tidy Tuesday, so that we talked about Makeover Monday. Tidy Tuesday is an initiative that is commonly or popular within the art community. And so that initiative was also in there and received a lot of votes as well. So congrats to all those community initiatives. Keep them going for us. We need it. We hope to see more. If you're thinking about doing one, I encourage you to give that some thought and go for it. Okay, so next and last but not least, this is our exciting one. This is the green jacket, right? The the masters, I suppose, of the data literacy advocate. We talk about data literacy advocates being people who advocate for data literacy. In other words, they're helping to spread it, they're promoting it, they're talking about it, they're telling people that they need to be thinking about it and helping them to get there. We talk about that from a data literacy advocacy point of view. And so the first winner of that award was Alberto Cairo. I mentioned his name a couple times already, the author of How Charts Lie, along with a number of other books that you are probably aware of already, the functional art, the truthful art. I believe he has more coming too, at least one more here coming this next year. And so he was the first winner, and deservedly so. Last year, Kim Harrington. Kim is here in the panel and the attendees. So hi to you, Kim. She took the award last year out of Buffalo, and nice to see you here. And congrats again on being the second winner of this award for all the work that you do to help grow that BI community there in Buffalo and well beyond. And so such a huge influence you have already and continue to. And congrats again on the book that was just published. See, this is what I love about this group. I get to interact with people that are just really out there doing amazing things. So Kim just had an ebook published, and I want to say it's called, help us out with the title, Kim. It's Requirements. Help me out with the title. I just saw it like this last week, maybe, or 2 weeks ago. Oh, there it is. It's links in the chat there. Royal Requirements, Open Minds. So congrats to you. We had chatted a while back, didn't we, about your idea and your excitement, enthusiasm around this exact idea. And I was just so delighted to see that last week, the week before, seeing it coming out and knowing that you'd followed through and had a wonderful illustrator. He did a great job illustrating that book. So check out that link there in the chat. And yeah, Kim, congrats again on your win for last year. And if you have the green jacket, we're actually going to have to go to work. You're going to have to give it to 2 people. So I don't know how that would work. So we probably need another one, right? So this year's winners, actually what we have is co-winners. So we had some amazing people here on the short list. John Byrne Murdoch of Financial Times, Kate Strachnyi, you already heard her name, Melissa Drew, works with IBM, and then also the tandem of Sarah Nell-Rodriguez and Alan Hillery. Both of them, I believe, are at other meetings tied up today, but we chatted beforehand. Oh no, actually Sarah's there. Oh my gosh, there you are. Wow, you made it. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to promote you to panelist. So you've seen the congrats and all the enthusiasm come through there on the chat. So thank you for joining. Hey, Sarah. So Be Data Lit, the community site, now it's a podcast. You and Alan, and again, when I talk about advocacy, what I love, and I'll just turn it over to you in a minute, but what I love about what you do is that you're advocating in the true sense of advocacy. What I mean by that is advocating for people, not just for data literacy, advocating for people who are often marginalized, left behind, don't have access to the same kinds of training opportunities that people who are more privileged often can be able to just easily get because they have a employer that'll pay for it or whatever, right? So I love that you're doing that, holding our feet to the fire as a movement here to say, wait a minute, what are we doing to make sure that data literacy is a human right, that it's a skill that is open and available to everyone? Because of all that you do, this really affects us and our team. We keep asking ourselves that question, and we have you and Alan in mind and saying, wait a minute, what are we doing here, to spread the word and to make it easier for people who might not have the same kind of resources at their disposal. So congrats to you for the win. And anything you want to say to the participants and to the people watching the recording?
Yeah, no, we're shocked first. Thank you. Tickled pink is the phrase that comes to mind. But really, Alan can't be here today, so I'm glad that I can at least represent both of us. We're just so excited to be recognized for this and thank everyone who voted for us. But yeah, we really both believe in helping other people get the chances that we had, and maybe they don't, and hopefully generating awareness for others on what's happening in their own communities that they may not be aware of, and beyond their communities on a global scale. So if there's anything we accomplish, we hope that it's people thinking about other people and how we can all bring each other to the same level and provide the same access to data skills so we can all do better and thrive and make a better world.
So important. So tell us about Be Data Lit. It's a community site. Now it's just recently turned into a podcast and both. So talk to us about, that idea you had, how you brought in, how you and Alan kind of came together on that, and then the goals of that initiative, as well as where you're taking it next year. Give us a little bit of background and perspective about that thing that you're doing with him, just making waves, and I love it. So what's the story of Be Data Lit?
Yeah, Be Data Lit has been in my head for a few years, and just always thought about bringing it to reality, and just never really had the impetus or opportunity, and COVID happened. And I think we've all been obviously personally touched by COVID and what's happened. But I started seeing so many of my friends in the service industry lose their jobs and really have no sub industry to go to. And I was already talking about data literacy at that point, but then just really making the ties, like, where do people go next? What kind of jobs can they get? And where do they get those skills? And that's when Alana and I had already been talking quite a bit. He's what I call my data BFF. Hopefully he can hear that when he listens to the recording. But we talk all the time. He's my data BFF. And just making the ties that there are people who just don't have that path forward. And it's because there's so many barriers out there, and COVID highlighted them so much more than they had been previously. So decided, let's do this. Let's put ourselves out there and make a site about it. And then Alan did not want to do the podcast. It was, I cannot tell you how many conversations we had. He's like, I don't think I'm ready. And then finally one day he's like, oh, fine, let's just do it. And now he loves it. He loves it so much. And he's just a force to be reckoned with. He's such an amazing person, and so giving and so thoughtful, and just truly and genuinely cares about other people. And what we do today is so much because of that big heart of his. So I'm so happy to have a partner in this with him, where we keep each other honest and bring such different viewpoints too. And what's next? We're partnering with a lot of not-for-profits about how we can bring what we do to help them, and how we can help them grow, because they're really the stopgap right now, where universities end and organizations don't pick it up. Not-for-profits are doing that work. So that's in our 2022 plans.
I love that. Yeah, we're really excited that you're going to help put some wind in the sails there of those organizations. Just echoing what you said about Alan, and you as well, big hearts, big attempts to continue to put yourself out there and do great things, inspiring people, overcoming any of the trepidation that might be there. Also, there's many other things you're both doing. So I know you are working full-time at Tableau. Alan, he does amazing things. We've been lucky enough to have him contribute to our blog a few times already. And I think he's one of the best writers in data. I really appreciate his thoughts and the way he's able to articulate them in writing on some of those blog posts that I've read, and including the ones that he's published on our own site. And so, yeah, my hat goes off to you both for making this last year one of a new start of this great initiative of yours. Amazing resources people can get access to. Looking forward to seeing what you do next with Be Data Lit. And thanks for joining. I know we had chatted before and it was going to be a challenge, so it was really cool to see you pop up in the chat there, and thanks for jumping on. So and have a wonderful holiday, Sarah, and my best to you. And again, thank you for all that you do to help.
Thank you.
To advocate, right? To keep fighting, to make sure that data literacy is not just another have for the haves, another resource for the haves that the have-nots don't have. And so we've got to all work on that together. To wrap it up here, the runner-up for the Advocate of the Year is Kate. So Kate Strachnyi, I mentioned her already, DATAcated, the conferences, the video channel, find her on LinkedIn. She's always getting interesting conversations started. So you can definitely find her there, as well as at DATAcated, as well as on YouTube. She's really seemingly everywhere. Very, very amazing. And I see a question coming through here about, about the replay. I just published a blog post to this, and I put the link in the chat. You can see the link in the chat for if you want to help us spread the word about all this great work. This will help shine that spotlight even brighter on these amazing people, what they've done, their content that's already out there. People can learn from it. So help us spread the word. And we will actually, since we're recording this, a little later on after we get a chance to edit it, we'll put the video of this recording on that blog post up there at the top somewhere. Okay. So congrats to Sarah, to Alan, and also to Kate, and to all the winners, and not just the winners, but the runners up. Also anyone on the short list. Really, they just changed the game. They really did amazing things, and we're really grateful for them. I love this program because, when you run a business, you end up finding yourself talking about yourself a lot, and sometimes it can get old. So I really love the opportunity, just being honest, I love the opportunity to talk about other people and all the great things they do. It gives me a chance to pause here at the end of the year and really get caught up on all the great things that they've been doing, listening to their podcasts, buying their books, making sure I'm familiar with them to talk about them here on the show. And just, it's hard when you're working and running a small business with 3 people to pause and to really, again, look outward, look at all the other things, take what we've been able to do in terms of footprint and kind of start to share that, and also just to celebrate so many people out there doing great things. So we're gonna keep doing that. We'll do it again next year. We'll do the 4th, and I'm really excited to see next year who is gonna come out with some of the great content that we're going to learn from in the coming year. So I would love to wish you all the happiest of holidays. However you're celebrating, we're celebrating with you. And we thank you for joining, those of you who came in live, also those of you watching the recording. Many thanks for your continued support for us getting our business going here. We'd love to connect with you. Here's ways you can find us, and we'd love to hear your thoughts about ways we can take this awards program to the next level, also ways we can work with you, and as we seek to continue to help people learn the language of data, which is what our organization is all about. So on behalf of my co-founder, Becky Jones, our wonderfully talented operations manager, Megan Hanno, all of the people who have helped us, Ali Torban as well, who really breathed new life into our blog this last year. I want to thank you all and wish you all the best. I hope next year we really come together and we use data to move ahead in many different areas of life, professionally, personally, even in the public arena. All 3 of those domains are domains in which we can use data to move forward, bringing people with us, taking time to make sure we bring people along and help them to join this massive revolution happening right here under our feet, as we continue to move forward. So thanks to you all. Take good care. Thank you to the winners who jumped on and even spontaneously said hello. Very brave of you all. And I know this group is already a brave group. You did many things already. And so I'm not surprised at all you were willing to come and join and say hello and talk a bit about what you've been up to. So congrats again, everyone. Bye for now. Take care. Be well. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And we'll talk soon.